I'm Ros from Deux Furieuses, and I'm going to talk you through our new album, Songs from Planet Earth. On the front, you can see a sinister-looking shadow of a tree and a hunter's chair with a ladder going up where they would, and possibly still do, sit and kill animals. The first track on the album is called Isolation Days, and it was the first song I wrote in early spring 2020 at the start of the first lockdown. It's about that mood of something is going to change forever. The pandemic was coming, and yet it was a beautiful spring. Nothing had changed. Everything looked as it should. It was surreal, I felt at the time, and I did think that everything was going to change for me, and I think it did. The song uses phrases I was saying and hearing every day. Leave it at my door. We're all in this together, we kept hearing. And a memory I still have of coming down from Baz's attic rehearsing and doing the clap for the NHS, an ambulance going past her gate, and he looked straight at us and saluted. These are the impressions of that time. In the studio, we worked hard to bring out the atmosphere. Izzy Clark helped us with the textures and played fantastic tin whistle on the track, which you can just hear in the wonderful mix by Mark Freegard. There is a siren that increases over the track. The lyrics say, "I hear no sirens calling" at the start, and by the end of the track, the sirens have overtaken the song. All We Need Is Sanctuary is about my move from the city at the end of the first lockdown to the countryside in search of cheaper rent, no neighbours, and air to breathe. What I found when I got here was a place of sanctuary. I read local historians' research into the area and pored over all the old maps, and they believe it to have been an Anglo-Saxon frith. I went to find the place they think the earliest Anglo-Saxon lord of the manor had lived, and had this magical moment where the sun was glinting through the trees onto a frozen pond, and a hare appeared and stared at me. I stared back at the hare. That made it into the song as well. It's about leaving that insanity of the city and finding this sanctuary. All of us need a place of sanctuary, and unless we have a connection with the planet and with nature, I don't see how we're going to hold our leaders to account over the climate crisis. In the studio, Baz added timpani and gong on the outro. It's one of my favourite bits, this offbeat chiming, ringing sound. It conjures up for me the ancient Anglo-Saxons coming back home after a long day in the woods. Bring Down the Government was a jam in Baz's attic at the end of the first lockdown, where we had a great time, turned up our amps. This riff came out, Baz was enjoying playing drums with it, and I later turned it into a song. It's obviously about the government, the bunch of charlatans that we found leading us through the pandemic. The second verse is about the need for a reckoning, a COVID inquiry. And when we came to film the video and do promo shots, we went to Westminster and the COVID memorial wall. Fooling All the People is about democracy and populism. Abraham Lincoln's famous quote that he apparently didn't say. And the hope in that you can't fool all of the people all of the time would seem to be disproven by our recent experience. You can fool enough of the people enough of the time for democracy to fail us. The song is also about the populism of huge rock festivals and concerts, and is our attempt to reach out to an audience in a challenging way, in a thinking way. It talks about not being able to say what you think most of the time. Our day will come, I remember writing on a hammock between trees with my guitar, and it was the summer of 2020, and I think it was basically a sad song about the fact that the pandemic had just finished our band off and there wouldn't be any return from this. By the time I played it to Vaz, and then we finally got the chance to rehearse it, it got heavier and it started to have that sense that it would come, our day will come, which you get from, well, playing rock and roll and playing with each other, and it was more optimistic. It's also about the fact that you're not going to live long enough to see the changes that you want, and that's okay, because you've got a cause and there are other people that will go forward with your same cause and they'll do better and you'll ultimately win. Side 2 of the vinyl begins with Let Them Pass, probably my favourite song on the album. I wrote it during that long winter from 2020 into 2021, which was so bleak and there were so many dead. It was our first winter in the countryside and there are no lights outside, so it was dark and cold. We had lost somebody at the end of the first lockdown in a nursing home, and that Christmas I just felt a strong sense of spirits, ghosts, and of other people that had recently died in my family. And the song is about that. It's about breathing in the woods, breathing in the hospitals, breathing no more. And it's about never forgetting. The way people said goodbye as well, the dehumanizing way we had to say goodbye on phones with people suited up in their protection suits. The song is about never forgetting this. It's our song of mourning on the album. Place of Stones is a campfire song. It's about the landscape, the landmarks. It's about wanting to stay here for the rest of our lives. It's also sad because we couldn't share this experience with anybody else due to the lockdowns. It's about looking up at the red kites and hoping for an answer to our problem. Know the Score we put here on the album because it's like a smash in the face. It's almost like coming out of a dream. That first awareness on Twitter over Sarah Everard going missing and the dawning realisation that it was a police officer, the whole betrayal of our social contract with the police over the lockdowns and how we would go along with this was completely destroyed by this. The vigil and the way the police dealt with that led to, I wish I was there. We were texting each other and going, "Are you seeing this?" It was really visceral. We sang the outro chant with Izzy in the studio, and in fact the whole album was recorded with me and Baz and Izzy, just 3 women. We wanted the track to give other women energy and strength. Be Water is one of our favourites. It's based on a Bruce Lee quote and was used by pro-democracy protesters in Hong Kong. It's about being shapeless, formless and flowing around obstacles. We, in a way, are difficult to define in the music business, and I think it's one of our strengths because people don't really know what we're going to do next because we don't particularly fit any genre. Our Tribe is the last track on the album, and it begins with the words, "Look at all the monsters." When you read about the really cool musical heroes of the alternative scene and their sexist, abusive behaviour over the years and how it's been tolerated by those around them, it's shocking. I think that men are starting to call it out now, and it's about time. We've been in so many situations that we felt uncomfortable with and yet didn't say anything because the men we were working with were so well respected. It's part of the problem, and it's why it's been so difficult to be taken seriously as female musicians. The pandemic brought home who we wanted to reconnect with and what was our tribe. Our tribe is out there, and we want to reach out and give people some of the power that we've always taken from music, to give them the strength they're going to need to keep fighting. Thanks for listening to me, and enjoy Songs from Planet Earth.